whispering in the trees. It's two sailors and
if you haven't heard the name Michael Tamores, he's a 24-year-old Munster resident who allegedly, well, he was involved in an accident. There's no doubt about that. But who was allegedly driving drunk when involved in this accident that killed I want to say, 61-year-old Lansing man. Now, who was the Lansing man? I'd really like to get his name out there. Scafford, I think. Does that make sense? Well, anyway, it's coming out now that this Michael Tamores, and if you want to see a picture of him, you can go to the Times or you can go to my Facebook page. He's a rather big, fat, sloppy kind of looking guy. This latest story, one interesting thing is, off the face of the earth has dropped the aquavore issue that Michael Tamores may have been a customer of aquavore on the night that this occurred, which was December 30th, 2010. I don't see that anywhere. Let's go to Stinkypedia. Stinky, you don't need a mulligan. You didn't even really get a call yet.
Oh, that's okay. You get 3 tickets and you lose your license.
I don't know.
No matter if they throw it out of court or not. If you get 3 tickets, you lose your license.
Oh, you're talking about in the stinky world. That's the way it would be.
That's the way it should be, and then you lose your license. If you get caught driving without a license, you get a $500 fine.
How about going to jail?
No, and if you get caught again driving without a license, you take the car away for a year. That's how it should be.
10-4. Well, let's consider the Stinkypedia version of it. 3 times, blah, 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 lose your license, blah, 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 $500 fine, blah, 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 take the car away. Well, in this case, Stinky, you might have saved a life under the Stinky version. Let's go to Ryan out in Hobart.
Hey, Preacher Dog, how you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, how did this guy, that's the thing is, I got popped for a couple of tickets within a 6-month span. And the Indiana State made me take the defensive driving online course.
And
that was just for 2. I mean, what did this guy? I wonder how many times this guy had to take that, and didn't even sound like he got anything most of the time.
How could you find the time in the day, Ryan, to take all of these tests and go to school and get your license suspended, go back and get it renewed, all this? Where could you find time in the day to do all these things over 100 times over 9 years?
I have no idea. I mean, it takes like, I want to say at least 4 or 5 hours to complete the thing. So, I mean, that's getting, that's a lot of time to have to take that.
It's a mystery.
Once that was enough. I learned, my lesson, but.
It's a mystery, man.
Yeah. I wonder what that guy paid out lawyers to get all this dropped, because that cost.
Well, let's talk about that, and thanks for the call out there. And come see us at Freddy's. Buy a T-shirt. With this number of violations, which is why I asked, what does this guy do for a living? He's in Highland. He moves to, does he still live with mommy and daddy? Maybe that's the trick. He lives in Highland for some amount of time. He moves to Munster. That's a pretty nice place. I can't afford to live there. He has over 100 violations. I don't know how many of these require an attorney. How is this guy beating the system? How did this go on so long that it ultimately led to someone's demise? This kind of goes back to my complaint and theory that when we catch the criminal and we lock their behinds up and they're off the streets and some liberal left-wing parole board lets them out, They commit a serious crime. Why aren't we putting the parole board in jail? You let them out. The system worked. The crime was committed. The cops tracked him down. We put him into the system. He was tried by a jury of his peers, found guilty, put in jail for a certain amount of time, doing his time, always going to get out early. And you guys paroled him. You let him out. Shouldn't the parole board have some responsibility? Start putting the parole board guys in jail and see how quickly this stuff stops. Let's go to the Mulligan line for Dave.
Real quick, I know a guy that had 6 DUIs, and I think, you know, this is something that should be state by state. I don't want the feds to have anything to do with this, but a state by state, I think we should use, and I know you don't like Europe, all right, but Scandinavia was something I've been there quite a few times. There's a 0 tolerance. You get caught drunk driving, you lose your license for life. It's
Good.
a 0 tolerance.
Good.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
You know, and we can even tweak that down a little bit. Let's say the first time you get caught, if there's no injuries, you lose your license for a year. I don't care about this restricted. You can drive back and forth to work crap, right? And then there is no strike 3.
Well, maybe
we
that's
see what happens with the strike 3. Somebody gets killed.
Maybe that's what, or before, but maybe that's what he was on. But let me ask you, you drive professionally.
Right.
If you were out violating as a private citizen, and your company got word of that, wouldn't they take action?
Let me tell you what. Since I hold a CDL and it's a Class A, and a lot of guys know that.
Right.
In my company vehicle or my private vehicle, I'm .04. I'm held to a higher standard than everybody else. If I'm driving on my personal time or work time, well, work is .02. Okay, but if I want to come to Freddy's, dude, I have 2 drinks because I'm .04, and that's how I pay my mortgage, and that's my livelihood. So I don't mess with that.
So you're the perfect guy, really, for a guy like me to catch a ride home with.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm always a designated driver.
10-4.
All right, man.
And I'm sure he's a damn good one, too.